Sure. We here. Hey everyone, welcome back to another meetup from Angular Singapore. It's Chung, your host at Angular Singapore, and today we are welcoming my friend Chau Tran, who enjoy it and have a great section about using Notion as a CMS for your blog uh, with Scully. So before we jump into the talk, let's just do a quick introduction about Angular Singapore and what is going on. So today we just like we do the talk and then there's some Q&A if we have time, and there's open announcement section for people just to say hello. The code of conduct is very simple. We are here, so I just will not repeat it. So the next meetup is going to be on the 7th of December. Actually, I still deciding on who will be the speaker. Actually, we don't have a speaker yet, so if anyone wanted to be the next speaker next one, then yeah, let me know. Drop me a chat. We have a discussion on Discord. Sorry, Rob.
Sure.
Okay, sure. We have discussion on Discord. This is located inside the Angular Discord channel, so there's just a small channel for Angular Singapore. We have the YouTube where we just uploaded all of the recorded talk and some of the office hour. It's been a long time I didn't do it, so maybe I should resume it. There's a support so that you need to talk to someone. You cannot book time with Sander, so just come to Angular Singapore and get the 15-minute talk with me. Yeah, I'm not an expert, so if I don't know, I will ask Chau or Sander. But I'm just like first level support. So if you wanted to be our speaker at Angular Singapore, just drop me a message and we get back to you. Just let me know what you have. So Angular Nation, we all familiar with Angular Nation. So it is the initiative by Bonnie. There's a lot of group inside, suitable for a lot of time zone. Sander, I think one of the core team member here. There's a APAC group. There's a South Asia, America, and there's a lot more. A lot of event. It's free for everyone to join. So you wanted to talk about Angular with us the whole day, then Angular Nation, I think, is the right place. There's a Google Dev Sway in Singapore. Just like there's a website that just posted all of the events for connecting, community and engineer and startup around the region, like Southeast Asia. So if you live around Asia, just feel free to come in and check out. There has a lot of event coming up. We have Singapore JS in Singapore, Junior Dev Edge, I think. Talk CLS, I think it's not very active at the moment, but we're still one of the oldest group here. And React.js Edge. So before we get to the talk, you have any question, either you drop it into the chat directly or you just noted it out so that you can unmute yourself during the Q&A, or we can just do when the speaker is presenting. It's up to the speaker to control. Depends. And during the Q&A, we encourage people to speak, so just unmute yourself and feel free to speak. So introducing Chau and the talk today. But before we jump into the talk, okay, so that is Notion for CMS. Notion as a CMS for the Scully blog. Chau is the GD in Angular. He's been working with NX in the past few months, I think. I think he's enjoying working at NX, seeing a lot of live stream on YouTube, and he's one of the founder of Angular Vietnam. We have quite a lot of content from Chau on Angular Vietnam. Sorry, we cannot produce it in English, so you can read Vietnamese. There's a really good resource to learn Angular, but yeah, it's not on English. But before we get into the talk today, there's the speaker warm-up question for Chau. So it is the same for all of the speakers, so I just collect the answer to see what's the difference. So Chau, you have to delete all of your application on the phone, but keep 3 apps. Which one you keep and why? We don't talk about all of the built-in, like the phone and messaging. It's fine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you think about Spotify or Google Calendar or whatever. But
okay. I'll keep
So
I'll keep Lollipop. Lollipop is a baby camera app. So that's what I want to have to keep. Um, I will keep audiobook, Audible.
Audible.
So,
Okay.
um,
Audiobook. The last one.
and then I will keep Snow because I like having fun with
Snow.
my son. Yeah, Snow is a like
Oh.
camera like app that with a lot of filters. Fun.
Oh, okay, okay. So yeah, okay, I see. So you
Yeah, I would stay away from the social medias.
can like on the tree app, it's like 2 hour tree was photo. I think that's good. I would
No,
also keep the photo.
only one is a photo. That's a
What is photo?
Snow. So
What is the report?
the lollipop is to monitor my kid.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay, I didn't know that.
it's like a security camera, but for the babies.
Okay, understand.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, I'll write down the answer. So, all of the speaker here either they need the calendar or they keep Spotify or some they like to keep the note read like note tracker or something like Notion.
Yeah, I
Uh,
mean, I was thinking if I'm able to delete all the apps, which means that I don't really need to keep track of anything on the phone, right? I don't have any FOMO because I've deleted all the social medias.
mm,
So there's not really a point for me to keep the calendar.
mm, sure.
So yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thanks. Yeah. Anyway, we've been thanks for all of the answer. I think we all satisfied and over to you. That just that talk.
All right. So I'm gonna share my screen and we can start. So right, so I don't prepare any slides today because I thought it would just show the code. But for whatever reason, if I'm sharing and my terminal is too slow, then please forgive me. I will take one of the repo, like demo repo that I have, then I can speak from that. Otherwise, it's just live coding. Right, so let me stand up a little bit. Okay, so today we're gonna take a look at Notion API. So about several months ago, I don't remember how many months, 3, 4, 6, even half a year, Notion published their API, and it's still in beta. But now with the Notion API, you can actually do a lot of things with Notion. And as for people that are not familiar with Notion, it is a note taking tool, but with the ability of creating databases. So if you think of you can create like a new page, but on this page you can add your note on this page. So basically you can have like, oh, my speaker notes or my travel note, whatever you want to have inside of one page. So one page can be a blog post or it can be a database. So you can see here you have the ability to create a table as the database, and that is what I'm creating for 100 days of Angular uh, blog collection. So in here, just you can add all of these headers as your front matter. So we're gonna go into details of these later. But like the ability of creating database, and now with the Notion API, you can programmatically fetch these. Is open the door for using Notion as your CMS, and also it has the app as well. So I like the idea of being able to on my phone, if I have an idea to blog, then I can jot into Notion, right? And then I convert it to one of my database row later. So I like that ability to be on my phone and write instead of like writing Markdown on my computer. So that intro to Notion, we're gonna get into how to set up Notion to work with Scully in a little bit. All right, now back to the API. Again, you can read through the API for the guides, API references. I keep track of the changelog quite a bit because it's still in beta, so they keep releasing new features. So this is a week ago, and then 12 days ago, so less than 2 weeks, they have new features and stuff. And of course, we're going to use Scully. So if anybody want to learn more about Scully, see Sandra. Basically, Scully is a static site generator for Angular. So it allows you to have fast Angular, like really fast and SEO friendly. And so what I have here is, oh, hold on. Let me know if that font is good enough. Is this good enough?
For me, it's fine, but not sure about if they have a small. Yeah, I think it's fine.
Then I'll bump it to 18.
Yeah,
instead of
18.
16, so it should be good. There we go. So what I have here is a brand completely blank Angular CLI application I just created, so I don't have to run all those on stream. And if I run right now, I would just see the whole page of Angular. There we go. All right, is that. So now we're going to add Scully to this site, of course, with this. So we're going to do npx that. And thank you to the Scully team for providing ng-add schematics. So easy to get started with Scully. And of course, if you don't have anything fancy like CMS, you just want to start blogging, this is probably the easiest in terms of Angular ecosystem. I do this for all my so if I build like a UI libraries in Angular and I need like a documentation site also with Angular, because I need to use that doc site to show my components, I would use Scully for that doc site so that they have SEO and stuff like that. And this is all that I need to do for that doc site. If you don't need anything else, because you're not going to read Markdown from anywhere, you can just do this, and then you turn your doc site into an SEO friendly site for documentation. So good, so good. All right, now we have Scully added using ng-add. We can check it adds Scully lib module to app module, add some polyfills. We'll add some scripts and the Scully packages, and it will add this notions, the Scully config file. So this is the configuration of Scully for your site, which we're gonna have to look at. We're gonna take a look at in a little bit here. All right, so now we have Scully. What I want to do, I want to add a block. So if you look into Scully documentations, there create a block, and then there's added block support, and that is what you have to do. So I'm going to do this. Right now, I have a block. What I want to do now is just do a quick commit here. And Scully. All right, now I want to do a build. Right, because for Scully to work, you have to run the build first, and usually you want to run the build, production build for Scully. Or when you're developing, you can just run the build with the watch mode.
Rob was asking, can you just give a brief introduction about Scully again? I think he's wanted to know a bit more about it.
Since Sanders is here.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Man. Sandra, would you like to give a quick introduction about Scully?
Oh dear, I didn't prepare for this. I don't know. Well, Scully is an is a tool set that takes an Angular application and makes it suitable for the gem stack. The gem stack is a special way of deploying applications, so you don't need a server anymore. So you basically can embed all your data into your HTML files and a couple of other things. It sounds very complex. Once you get the hang of it, it's not that complex, and Scully makes it really easy for Angular. Scully is the first tool available that allows Angular to enter the gem stack. If you need any more explanation. We have a couple of videos on YouTube where we explain this more in depth, and it takes a little bit too much of time to go over all of it here. I will look up a video and post it in the chat later.
Thank you, Sander. That's a really, really nice explanation. I didn't even talk about Jamstack. But yeah, thank you, Sander. And thank you, Ralph, for the question.
You're welcome.
All right. Now that I have built my Angular, so if you look into the file structure, I mean, the directory, then you see a folder with the build artifact from, of course, running build production. So now I'm going to run npm run Scully. This is a script that's the Scully schematics added to the package.json file. And you can run that. So what Scully does is it will read the configuration. Yeah, I'll do that. It will read the configuration here. So here, it's based on your project name, and it's based on basically the information, the configuration about your project. So basically, you can have multiple Scully configurations for multiple projects if you're inside of a workspace. So this one target my Notion Scully demo project name. So basically, it's this one, and it uses to look into the Angular JSON file. Look at this, and it gets all the information about your project. Right. And then you will set up the route. So I have a route called block / slug. So based on this route, Scully will then look into the routing configuration, right? Basically, it's just crawl through your application, and it looks at the route configuration and what matches that route. It will re-render with the information that you give it. Right. So I'm going to go back here. All right. So now you can see that when I run npm run Scully, again, it will read all of the configuration files that it needs to read. And then it will pre-render or render the index path. So anything that's related to your routing configuration. So to use Scully, you need to enable routing, also a router module in your Angular application. And then you see that the slash block and then slash whatever. So this is the route configuration that we set up inside of Scully config and also inside of our routing configuration. And it will read from the folder ./block right here that I have under the root, and inside of here I have a single markdown file. Right, and based on the slugs, right, you can have a slugs, you can have like the content of your block. So this portion of the markdown is called front matter. So this is like the title, the description, date, basically the metadata of this blog post. And Scully from that folder will take that content and use the block component that we set up for this route and render that into a specific place inside of that component and render out inside of an index HTML, so that when you go to your site and you go to /block and /this path, right, the browser will read the index HTML. Now inside of my block component, there's a component tag called Scully Content. So Scully, this is where Scully will inject the rendered HTML from like this markdown file, or basically anywhere that you provide that content for Scully, which we're gonna replace with Notion in like at this position inside of your block component. So if you think about it, you can have like your title here, right? Title goes here, and then you have a footer, say Chau Tran, which is the author of the blog. So you can basically style or structure your blog page any way you like, and then Scully would just inject the content here. Let's.
Can I add a little tip here?
Yeah.
If you are adding a boatload of dynamic stuff to your Scully content page, it's easier to add Scully content inside of a child route, so that it is the only thing inside there.
So wait, so you're saying this go inside of a component, like a different a route?
Yeah, I have a sample for that. So
Sweet.
Let's not do it here because
Yeah.
it's not that complex and it makes sense.
Yes.
But in some circumstances, the dynamic stuff that you put around
Yeah.
can be messy when the HTML is replaced by Scully.
Yeah, because this is a problem. So to Sanders' point, this is a problem right here. Imagine you fetching something and you have some observable and then you want to do some ngIf and stuff like that, and you put this Scully content inside this ngIf, and it's not being resolved when like Puppeteer runs through your route, then yeah, you have a problem. So we're gonna get to that when we fetch from Notion. All right, so now basically you have like the basic idea of how Scully works. So you provide a route, right? You provide a route in your config, what type of plugin it is. So Scully has a plugin system, and it is complicated to talk in this meetup. But maybe another talk, I will explain the Scully's plugin system, and then just provide the configuration of that plugin. So for this one, the plugin is content folder. So it will look into one of your folder as content. Right? So this one, it has a markdown. So inside of here, I will have a markdown file. Maybe I'll add another one. I will call Angular Singapore meetup .md. Go back here and just copy that. Go back here. We say Angular Singapore meetup. Block description. Hey, meetup. Yeah. About Scully with Angular SG. I would say true. My slug. I want that. And then inside of here, say, and you can just write markdown in here. You can have like code block and everything in here. So if I save, I go back here and I do Scully again. All right. Why do I have two files? Yeah, there we go. Is this a bug? Center? It locks twice. Not a big deal, but so now you can see that because now we have another markdown file inside the block folder, we have another route. Just to show that to serve Scully, you run npm run Scully serve. By the way, I've been getting this a lot. There. Now you can you're gonna start your Scully static server and port 1668, and you go to that. Now if I go to blog Angular Singapore meetup, I'll have my content here. If you look at the network tab, close that, and I refresh, you see that this is the HTML fully rendered from that Scully gives us. So technically, for this site, for this simple site right here, I can also disable JavaScript, and it still runs correctly. All right, now we know that. Now we have that type of thing. You can use this setup to start blocking. Basically that. But we want to use Notion. Yes.
The twice is not a bug because you add slugs, and slugs are added to. Yep.
That would be better. Cool. So now we're gonna switch from using block and to use Notion. And it requires a little bit of setup. So I'm gonna go through that. Now I'm gonna just stop this. I'm gonna just add everything, right? Commit initial block. And now the first thing is we're gonna need a plugin from a plugin that's gonna work with Notion. And lucky for me, I wrote this plugin. So I have a repo called Notion stuff. I'm gonna paste this in the chat. Oh, show an index HTML for sure. So we go to static, go to block, and this index HTML. It has everything that you will see when you basically you go to localhost 4200 and you go to this site. You will probably see all of these like ng content, like view encapsulation and all that stuff that Angular output, and then Scully will put your content like right there. And it has some more stuff that I don't know. So maybe Sander can explain that.
I can, but I don't want to hijack your presentation.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So here, right here, you can see that it is an H1, right? Because based on my markdown, that gets rendered to an H1. Are you using marked JS under the Scully Center?
Yes, it is using marked.
Cool.
So it's fully GitHub flavored markdown.
Mm-hmm.
We added a couple of tricks there. It's even more. We can have external links that do adds the blank stuff and a couple of more
nice.
things there.
Cool.
So
Cool. Yeah, I would probably need to do that because right now I have a like directive instead of like having marked doing that.
Yeah.
I add that. Anyway.
By the way, we also have a plugin that takes care of most of those things.
Interesting. All right, so I have a repo called Notion block, right? A Notion stuff, and Notion stuff just deals with basically Notions, and the crux of all of this is the markdown parser. So if I go back to my Notion here, and I open one of these, I don't know if you can see it, but if I hover over this one, like this, this H1, right, title, then I have this. So this tells me this whole thing is a block of content, and that is the terminology that Notion uses. So they use blocks. So this one is a header one block. This one is a paragraph block, right? This one is a call out block, a block quote block. So you can think of that like a list item block, and then you have like a code block, right? So all of these are just blocks. When you fetch this page from Notion, it will come back as an array of blocks. So the Notion stuff does is it will take those blocks and it will parse those into Markdown, right? And then from Markdown, I can use something like Scully is using the marked JS library to compile that Markdown to HTML. Now I can feed this HTML to Scully. So now the Scully plugin is working based on the Markdown parser and the HTML parser. So we're gonna just install this one.
I have a little remark here.
Yeah.
You can create another file parser plugin, which is drop that easy to use the Notion blocks to HTML thing and wrap that in a small plugin, and then Scully will render those things also right into the Scully content. Actually, the whole Scully blogging system, the Scully content, it is called Scully content for a reason. It is not Scully Markdown. You can inject text, HTML, Markdown, CSVs, ADoc, and if you provide like a small plugin, you can probably also use Notion blocks directly.
Interesting. I'll reach out to you about that.
I can show you. It's simple.
marked. We need marked. I'm going to use Prism for code highlighting. So this is the libraries that we're going to use to enable Scully, to enable Notion in Scully. All right, so we have that. I'll go back to this, and you open your configuration. The first thing first is remove all of these, and we do as router DOM Notion DOM router plugin option. So inside of here, you have a type. Give it a type of Notion DOM router and a post renderers. This is post renderers, right? It's an array, Notion DOM. Database ID. And the Notion API key is what we're gonna provide via an environment variable. So we don't put it here. I think that's it. Database ID, we're gonna grab that later. So now,
do you already have it in an environment variable? Because it's drop down easy
I will
to put it in here.
Yeah, I might. It really depends on how far we go. So next, I'm gonna do set plugin config. I'm gonna use Notion DOM. At Notion DOM plugin option. Inside of here, I will do markdown highlighting option with Prism. Next is now we're gonna have to set up Notion. To set up Notion is like a multi-steps. First, you're gonna have to create an integration with. You go to developersnotion.com and you create an integrations. And I'm gonna create a new integration for this demo. I will call this SG demo. Actually, before we create a new integration, we might want to create a new workspace. So let's go back to Notion, like website. And of course, you're gonna log in and sign up and everything. And they will give you a workspace by default, but you can create a new one, like clicking here. Go here and join or create workspace. I'm gonna create a workspace for myself. And if this is just you, it's free. Okay. All right, so now I have my workspace. I'm gonna change the name a little bit here. Settings. Go to Angular Singapore SG demo. It is. All right, now I have a workspace. I want to create an integration with that workspace. So I think, oh, this is probably has a real time. So now because I create that workspace, my integration creation has access to that demo workspace. So I'm going to select that and hit submit. This is the API key. All right, I'm going to just show that because I'm going to delete this afterwards anyway. All right, you can just copy that secret somewhere, save it somewhere, and this is that. This is all you need in terms of integration. Let's go back to your workspace. If you go to settings, integrations, you will see that Angular Singapore demo integration has been added. The next thing that we want to do is we want to create a database. So to create a database, click on add a page, table, give this a name. I will give this Angular SG demo blog post. All right, and next thing you want to do before you forget, you click on the share of your new database. All right, and then you're gonna invite. You want to invite your integration. Now your integration has access to this database. Right, and the database ID is this guy right here is the database ID. So I'm gonna copy that. And now we need some more things for this to work. I'll go back to the Notion stuff, README. And I show you how to set up all the integration in the README. Right here. Your database needs to have the following page properties. Remember what I said about the these column names? These are page properties. So basically, you can have any amount of page properties you want, and they have like a wide range of things that you can use, and they even have formula. So you can have a little bit of coding or a little bit of programming for this one. All right. Now back to this. You need a status. You need a title will always be there. You need a status, and you need a slug. I will explain about a slug a little bit. Now go back here. I'm gonna change the name to title. So this is the title of this one of the block. Tags and you want status, and you can do status as anything you like. I do as select, and then you need a slug, and it's gonna be a text. So the slug, I can definitely use a formula, or I can like do it programmatically inside the plugin. But I kind of want to give this option to the consumers to have whatever slug they want. Right? I can have a formula to maybe say like drop title, something like that, and then like two lowercase. But Notion doesn't support like lowercase or anything like that yet. So I just put this at text. All right, and I'm gonna just delete all these junk. All right, for my first blog post, I'm gonna say, "Hey, Angular Singapore demo from Notion." My status, whatever you want to have in here is fine, but you need to have one called published. And then the slug, I'll call this Angular SG demo Notion. Maybe you can add like created time, and you can add updated time. Right, and I call this created at, and this is published at, maybe something like that. Now I'm gonna go in here, and I'm gonna add some content. Say, hey. This is an H1, a heading 1. I want to add some code block, say function log, right? Say blah, blah. And it's a TypeScript. So I'm going to save this one. I'm going to go back to Scully. My actually code. Remember, I have that database ID. It's this guy. I'm going to use senders advice and just use Notion API key here, and I'm gonna save. And the moment of truth, I'm gonna run npm run Scully. Hopefully it works. Didn't test this. Okay, API token is invalid. Something went wrong. API response API is invalid. Is that the API key? All right, never mind. Use this then. I'll use JSON. Maybe that, and let's run Scully. There we go. You see that? Now I will render from Notion, and this is the slug that I gave to my block. I render over here, and let's start running. Let's see. Hold on. Let's see. So, thank you though, but we need to see the result. Now, if we go to block Angular Singapore demo, right, Notion, or SG, sorry, SG. You see that this is a heading one, and this is a code block. If you look into this code block, it's a blank language of TypeScript which means that I can go to Prism. I have Prism theme, but I'm gonna just grab theme from somewhere. Dragler. I'm just gonna grab this. Go back to my source style. Just put it here. You want to put it somewhere else, but I'm just gonna put it here. And because I changed the Angular code, I need to rebuild it. All right, so the styles get compiled too. And then I'm gonna run Scully serve. Yeah, I do need to run Scully again. Ceiling, run Scully. I need to kill my Scully again. Scully serve. To this site, you can see that I have code highlighting now, and this is Prism. I support Highlight.js and Prism. Default is Highlight.js, but then you can switch to Prism if that's what you like. What is title goes here for? Where is this one? Oh, that's my title, right? That's my title that I put inside of the Scully, the block component. Right, so now we know that is working, but now you might be wondering why. I can just use the markdown to have all of this. One thing that you would be missing from the markdown, or not missing, but requires, like the dev experience is not as nice, is that now Notion can save your images. So what it can do, you can just copy, take a screenshot here, and then I go back to my blog, open, paste my image there. Now here's my image. I can change the size of the image and everything from Notion. I can also add a caption, Angular logo. Right, and now it's save. Go back to my Scully, rerun Scully. This is one of the pain point. I don't know how to make this better. Notion doesn't have any webhook yet, so you're gonna have to rerun it. Right now, Scully, scale this again. Scully serve. Now, when I go back to the site, this one will have my image. Now you have like a CMS, right? You don't have to worry about where to save this image. You can just let Notion take care of that. And I render with a logo for you. So there you go. So that is Notion as your CMS.
Nice. As I expected. That's how it looks like when you use Notion.
If we have time, maybe because right now people maybe start thinking, then so what about deployment, right? Because now you have Notion. Like when you edit your Notion, what do you have to do to update your blog? I can go through that real quick here. And of course, this is just me trying to think of a good way. Maybe Sander has a better idea about, because he knows Scully. So the flow that I want to deploy Scully with Notion is that I have like 3 different GitHub actions. The first one is to determine if I need to run ng build. The second one is to run Scully, like npm run Scully to render my static site. And the third one will always be there, is that to deploy to Netlify, right? So I have a bunch of like check files change and stuff like that. So my logic is that if anything change inside of my apps, inside of my libs, this is an NX workspace. So inside of your source, your code source, your package.json, and any configuration that you think that might change. In this case, I have a tailwind. So basically, if tailwind change means that my styles change, I need to recompile. I need to rebuild. So that's the build and upload artifacts. So after I build, we go to this Angular Vietnam ng workspace action. So build and upload artifacts. So after I build, I will have an artifact called ngvn artifacts, and this one is that all that dist that what you would have if you run ng build, right? So, and then next I will have the Scully, right? The Scully, this workflow will automatically be dispatched or be run upon the build success. So build success will kick off this. If the build is failure, if like the ng build steps it fails because hey, you don't have anything to change, I'm gonna fail fast. All right, fail fast. And then this will kick off, and then this will say, do I need to build or I just need to upload? So again, there's a check here. And then on this patch is important because what if I don't change anything inside of my code, I just change in Notion, then I want to be able to still kick off a build. So this is what the on this patch is for. So if I just change in Notion, which means that I don't have any change in my Angular, right? Then I don't need to run that this workflow at all. I just go here and I say run workflow, and this will kick off a run Scully. It will build Scully. And then after Scully is finished, then this netlify deploy will run. So there's a cascading effect here between these workflows. So that's my flow right now to deal with Notion, because Notion doesn't have webhook yet. So I don't really know when it's changed unless I pull the Notion API. So that's it.
Yeah, it's too bad that there is no webhooks on Notion,
Yeah.
because otherwise you could hook those into your GitHub Actions and have like a fully automated flow.
Yeah.
I think the alternative here is like run once a day or twice a day, or like once a week if you are a slow blogger. It really depends on your use case. There are also some possibilities that you are just, and I don't think Notion has a way for this. But if you would have been using a CMS that has webhooks where they say, hey, this page is updated, you can just run Scully for that one page.
That's true. Yep. That's what I want to have.
Yeah. So if I would have more time, one of the things on our, how is it called, things to do is build a server that automates those things and also can react to webhooks and uses our caching strategy to figure out which pages we need to re-render given on what resources changed.
Yep, I'm thinking about caching as well. I don't know if I try to use a caching, like put a caching mechanism inside my plugin, or like some other plugins. So I don't know yet. I'm still debating.
For blogging with Notion like this, I don't think there is like a big payoff for caching. Although if you enable the Scully cache, it will cache everything it gets its hands on. It will make things faster, but there is little use for that if you are doing this in GitHub Actions, unless you take the the subscription there, where you can share the cache between computers or runs.
Yeah, true.
Or you must be, if you are very GitHub Actions savvy, you can cache the cache.
So what I'm doing right now with my GitHub Actions is that I also upload the NX cache as an artifact, and then I pull that before I run build.
Yeah. Well, I'm using in Scully itself, we are using the cache from NX. to speed up the process, because we have a boatload of steps that require rebuilding parts of Scully for testing and stuff like that. So the cache is helpful there, and that basically it's a lazy solution, because we were not too lazy to figure out caching in GitHub Actions, because that is a little bit of a pain.
Oh,
and
so-
that's a slight understatement.
Are you talking about like NX Cloud?
Yeah, NX Cloud cache.
Yep. Cool. Yeah.
So that's so much easier than setting up
Absolutely.
GitHub caching.
Yeah. I'm gonna ask you, Jeff, to give me an NX Cloud free, because I'm open source.
Yeah, you will probably get one.
Yeah.
All right, so that concludes my presentation. Thank you everyone for listening. If you have any questions, just I guess ask now.
Sure. I don't have any questions because I saw the repo last few days, but I'll definitely check the GitHub Action thing. Yeah, I just need to learn more about GitHub Action. Anyone have any questions? Feel free unmute. We have 10 minutes more for Q&A. Anything? Maybe it doesn't have to be related to Scully and Notion.
Thank you for presenting, Chau. It was a nice presentation.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. The recording video will be shared maybe tomorrow, I think. So if you don't follow it from the beginning, you can watch it again tomorrow.
Yeah, and one thing I want to highlight is that the Notion stuff repo. I mean, Notion stuff is I don't know what to call it, so I call it Notion stuff. What kind of feature that you? I mean, I'm not good at Notion at all, to be honest with you. So, but if you have any use case, like if you have any use case of using Notion, then let me know, or go to my repo and create an issue that you want that feature. Then I might be able to do something with that. Oh, because I'm familiar with Notion. Because Trung here introduces me to Notion, and I like it. I have it on my phone, so that's what I like about it. So I just use Notion, and then they announced the API. Yes, do it.
Okay.
Yeah. Before while Sander is setting up there, I'm gonna just talk quickly about Notion stuff. So Notion stuff is just Scully plugin. I mean, Scully plugin uses the parsers, but you can just use the parsers to do whatever you want, right? If you deal with HTML, use the HTML parser. If you deal with Markdown, use the Markdown parser. It's just basically a very generic parser to parse Notion blocks to Markdown. So that's it.
Okay.
So now Sander is taking over, and okay, sure. Go ahead, Sander.
So let's
Zoom in a bit.
really.
Yes. What do you mean?
Okay.
Okay, sure.
Let's see. Lips Scully source loop 500 plugins. I will show the HTML file handler plugin. A file handler plugin is basically the renderer for a certain thing. Well, this is what you have to do to register HTML. Basically, you don't have to do that much for HTML, because rendering HTML to HTML is just passing the string, but you need a handler for it. So creating a handler for Notion would be like And in here you do of course.
Interesting.
You misspell Notion.
Yeah, it's not even about spelling. You have to have a Notion parser, which I don't have installed right here.
Mhm.
And there will probably be something like this where you just pass it the raw content and it returns HTML. And
Wait, so that Notion parser is raw. What it's supposed to return? This also you specify HTML, so that needs to return HTML.
this is the thing that is coming from the file system or from the plugin. It is the content that is fetched from Notion.
Mhm.
So that is probably the JSON thing.
Yeah.
And then the Notion parser is basically a parser that takes the Notion thing and translates it to HTML.
Mm-hmm.
And here you give it a file extension. I don't know if Notion has like a file extension, so you can do it like this. And this is all you need to create like from this moment on. If I would have like this Notion parser in place, now Scully knows how to handle Notion content, and then you can use it in a sample block config. You should be able to use it. You can use it in content text, but also content there. I have too much crap in this thing. You can use your plugin from Notion and just say, okay, we have like a content type, and you can pass in the content as a text, and it will go through the handler. Here we have content type MD, that will be Notion. And then in here is return Notion.get. Oh, yeah. This will be something where you call your Notion API.
Very interesting. Yeah, I mean now that I see this, basically, if Notion has a webhooks, then this is like extremely easy. Yeah.
Yeah, the whole Scully plugin system is set up in a way that it makes it very, very easy to extend. You need to get your feet on the ground a little bit, but it is very easy to add new file contents. It supports ADOC, it supports HTML, but all of those file parser plugins. And actually it's content parsers because it has nothing to do with a file. It can be a blob of content that comes from an API. We have like ASCII doc. Here is, I'm getting the plugin. I'm lazy loading ASCII doctor, and I'm using ASCII doctor to convert. Markdown is, look, we use Prism. Also, and we use marked to return marked the raw text.
Yeah, I mean, I copy the mark config from Scully, so
yeah, it's quite easy to do, especially if we already did it for you. But it is quite easy to add multiple file handlers of content handlers, and you can add whatever you want. So you can go from Notion blocks directly to HTML without going to Markdown first. Perhaps going to Markdown is...
Yeah. So when I first wrote the plugin, I actually go straight to HTML. I have like an HTML parser on its own, but it's then I run into what if the user wants to do something else for the header? So what if the user wants to do something else for the image and stuff like that? That's why I turned to Markdown to have a little bit of like universal like feel about the content, and then I provide the customization when the user want to customize the Markdown parser from to HTML.
Yeah, the thing is, Notion has like a 2 HTML parser that also, I believe, that also takes in you can do some extra styling in there. And if you use the Notion parser, you get that styling for free, basically.
Yeah.
And no, this is my 4K monitor. My 8K is over there.
I only have the full HD normal screen, so easy on presentation and stuff.
So I'm going to stop this because this is not that interesting.
Okay, sure. I think Fanis has to go. Thanks, Fanis, for joining. Thanks for staying with us. Nice to see you,
Fanis.
man.
See you. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye. We also on top of the hour, so anyone have any thing to say in the last 2 minutes? If not, then we can just end it early because we start very early today anyway.
Chau, how do you do it?
How do you do
put
it?
so much information?
I don't know. I mean, I like doing this kind of stuff.
Yeah, this is great. This is great.
Just stop sleeping.
I'm already doing that. It's not helping.
Yeah.